Welcome back to Any Given Monday, a very interesting uh, interview with Jake Staiano, who was just suspended for 3 months for gambling on golf. And I think this is my opinion. I think he got screwed on the punishment. He definitely broke the rules. Not saying there shouldn't have been a punishment, but for him to not be able to go to Q school and Vince not be able to go to Q school seems a bit harsh to me. As always, want to thank Golf Tech, also SkyTrack, same company. SkyTrack simulator behind me. Just had my son in here hitting balls. It's awesome. Go check them out. And then Golf Tech, as I always say, before you buy new clubs, get lessons, or go to a Golf Tech, get fitted for new clubs, then buy a lesson package. GolfTech.com, near you. They've been super awesome to me. Awesome team over there. GolfTech.com. Without further ado, Jake Staiano. All right, we're here with Jake Staiano, just suspended by the PGA Tour for 3 months. Jake, I know this process is, we talked prior to this, so this process has gone along. Let's start at the beginning. When did you first hear about an investigation or that you were under investigation or this could be an issue?
So it was back in I want to call it May. I got a text from one of the people from the PGA Tour like, hey, you're involved in a integrity violation. So my first instinct is, well, I haven't been betting, so it's maybe it's my dad because he and I share the same name, or it's me and my one of my caddies or whatever it was. So I was like, I didn't even think anything of it, right? Fast forward about a month, I get a call from somebody in the Department of Colorado, like, hey, this is what this is what we see, this is what happened. And
when you say department in Colorado, let's stop there, Jake. When you say department in Colorado, who is that?
I want to say it's the Department of Gambling.
Okay.
So, something with like the gambling side, or what is it? Oh shoot, I can't remember what it is.
Is this just a guy this is some organization that is calling you outside of the PGA Tour to investigate,
third party
that they've hired to investigate this?
Yeah, third party basically investigate into this specific instance. So I don't know exactly, we can get into that, how it actually came about. But he continues like, hey, this is what I have, this is what I'm seeing. Is this true? And I mean, at that point, I'm not going to lie. No, it's not true. Yeah, I placed the bet.
Are you caught completely off guard by this?
Yeah, I'm actually, it's the Monday of the TPC Colorado event. So I'm out at the course. I was in the parking lot in Colorado. And I was at the course, just kind of, he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. So it was definitely a little bit off guard. I was talking to my caddy at the time, what's going on here? What do you think this is about? Because I understand the principle of it. I understand you can't bet on golf. They lay it out perfectly. You take this integrity program, and it is what it is. So I didn't deny gambling. I just, so it was definitely.
When you say that, let's again. I know we're going to go back and forth here, but let's just start with the integrity program. The integrity program, just explain it for those who would not know anything. Basically, it just lays out that you cannot gamble on golf.
Yeah. So basically, the easiest way to describe it is once you gain some sort of status, no matter where on the PGA Tour it is, Canadian, Latin American, Korn Ferry PGA Tour, you take a course, and it's you can't accept bet bribes from people if you're on the course. You can't bet obviously on golf. You can't, if there's a third party where, hey, I'm going to threaten, there's threatening. There's a bunch of different when it comes to the integrity program. And so again, when you first gain status, everybody has to take it, no matter what, no matter where you are, no matter how well you finish a Q school. That's basically the first thing they say to get done. So, and I had done it, obviously, I think I've done it 2 or 3 times now. So again, no excuses. I don't have an excuse for it. So,
right. So, I mean, so we're at the Monday at TPC Colorado. This guy calls you, and does he talk about specifically the bets you've placed, or you have no idea yet?
Yeah, no. So he basically rattled them off. Did you place this bet on, I want to say whatever, August 6th, 2021, or whenever it was? Did you place this bet? And I was like, yeah, I did. Like, I did. And so then the crazy thing is I didn't really hear from him I didn't hear from him until August. So from June to August, I'm just out there playing. And it's kind of in the back of my mind, but I'm not really thinking about it, if I'm being honest.
How long
And
did that
that's
phone call last, Jake?
it was probably a good hour,
Mhm.
45 minutes to an hour. I'm just sitting in my car in the parking lot.
And is he
Just
explaining to you like anything? You haven't done anything illegal, like you bet on one of this like legal betting apps. This is not like,
yeah. So it was weird because apparently there's like a legal side to things too, like a Colorado legality side of things, um, which I don't really know what's going on there. But he goes, this, I was hired by the PGA Tour to investigate this. This is where we're at. And, I just want to confirm if you place these bets, like yes, no. And that was basically it. It felt super drawn out for no apparent reason. So.
yeah. So you don't hear anything. Do you go to the tour and ask them where it's at? Or you're just kind of like, I mean,
I mean, yeah,
I
I mean, at
assume.
that point,
Go
I
ahead.
was still trying to like kind of keep my card. I was playing well, and then I wasn't playing. It was just it was all a blur because I really shouldn't have been out there in the first place. If people don't know, I got a super good break in South Carolina, took advantage, took top 20, and reshuffled in. So I was just so focused on golf, trying to get a first into that 156, and then try to make noise in the playoffs. Um, so it really didn't cross my mind until the member of the PGA Tour contacted me after I played in Boise, the first playoff event, and my season was over as I didn't play great there. And he was like, "Hey, this is what's going to happen. Look out for an email in the next week or so about basically our decision."
Did he
So
tell
fast.
you what the decision was at that time?
No, so I didn't know. And so I go down. There's a handbook that all the guys can look at. It's on PGA Tour links where there's 6 different call them punishments, penalties, ranging from like basically a slap on the wrist, like, hey, let's not do that again, all the way to number 6 being you're done for good. You can't ever compete on the PGA Tour or anything PGA Tour affiliated ever again. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, I understand it's a one strike policy kind of thing. Maybe, it was only a $25 bet and then a couple other small bets. Maybe they'll let it go. Maybe it'll be a fine or something. Fast forward a week and I get an email from Mr. Monahan, and he's like, "Hey, you're suspended 3 months, effective September 11th through December 11th." And I'm doing the math, and I'm like, "Man, that's Q school, right? That's right during the smack dab middle of Q school." And so I talked with a lawyer friend of mine who we kind of walked through. We talked about it, and I actually made the decision to appeal it. And there was so again, my first stage wasn't until last week, so October 17th. So I had a full month of I was still prepping to play Q school because once I appeal it, I'm actually not suspended. So the suspension only starts once a decision's made. And so my thought process was, so yeah, I placed the $25 bet on Bryson early in the year in 2021. And then I placed the 3 other bets on the Bryson Brooks match at the end of in November of 2021. And so I figured, okay, if I look at this from a legal way, it says professional golf events. Well, the Brooks Bryson match is an exhibition. It says they didn't make any money. Who knows what happened there? And I think if I can, fight that, I can maybe reduce the penalty because it would come to 1 instead of being punished for 4 different acts of gambling.
And I think an important input here, Jake, and for those listening that didn't read my tweet, we're talking about 4 bets that totaled $116.20.
Mhm.
So, Jake, I didn't. I think I asked you, and you don't even remember if you won or not. It doesn't.
Yeah, I can't recall. I'm pretty confident I won the one. I think Bryson made birdie on the hole I bet on. I can't remember the other three that I did on the
So,
Brooks Bryson.
regardless of if you won or you didn't win, we're
Yeah.
talking about a total bet of $116.20. And to clear up everything, Jake, you don't know Bryson, you don't know Brooks, you had no inside information. This is just like a dude sitting at home, and you're like
Yeah,
bored
so
watching.
I actually remember it pretty vividly when I placed the first bet. I was at my home course in Colorado. I just got done practicing. I was eating lunch. I'm just watching the golf. I think it was the FedEx St. Jude, and I'm like, okay, like par five. Bryson's playing well. That's when he was hitting it super far. I'm like, he's gonna make birdie here, right? And I guess backtracking is I took the integrity program in March that year when I got through Form 2 or Q school, and I had conditional status. I hadn't seen the course. I didn't sniff an event. So not an excuse. I was still part of the PGA Tour, but I wasn't like it didn't feel like I was there. Right? I wasn't in it. I wasn't playing. So I just was sitting at lunch. I was on points bet. I was probably looking at baseball too, and I'm like, shoot, Bryson to make birdies plus odds. I like it. It's a par five. Like, didn't even cross my mind. Again, I understand the principle of it, but it wasn't like a malicious, hey, I'm betting this
Mhm.
because I know I can win and I don't think I'm going to get caught kind of thing. It was just a blank space $25 bet. So then fast forward to November, I had just taken the integrity program again because I had just gotten my PJ or my Corn Ferry card. And I'm like, I just truly didn't think it was considered a professional golf event. And that's my fault for kind of being naive and not understanding really what that was. It's definitely a vague kind of gray area. But at the end of the day, I understand that betting on golf is wrong, and I want to say that for sure. And I just want to, I guess I want the people to understand it wasn't out of malicious intent. Wasn't like trying to defy the PGA Tour's rules. It was just I saw it on my phone, I clicked the button, and then now we're here.
So you get the letter, you appeal it. What happens in the appeal process, Jake?
Yeah, so the appeal process for me, I didn't get very far. The guys at the PGA Tour were very helpful, to be honest, because basically it's arbitration. So they pick their arbiter, I pick mine, and then those two pick a third, and then they basically go at it. So, and I didn't even
Is
get
the
that
third
far.
a third of play? Are these all people affiliated with the PGA Tour in some way?
No,
Players? Okay.
complete third party arbitrations, complete third party. All three of them are. So,
Okay.
I was going to be sent a list of arbiters that I could choose from, and then those two would pick a third. Well, the guy at the PGA Tour reaches out and he's like, "Hey, man, I just want to be completely transparent with you, because you probably didn't see this in the handbook. If I would have appealed it and lost, I would have had to pay the fees for all three arbiters,
Mhm.
which who knows? They could charge $1,000 an hour for 10 hours. I'm looking at 30 grand if I lose, right? Flip side, if you win, then the PGA Tour pays it. So it's basically the losing party pays for all three. And, I sat down with my parents, and obviously they've been very helpful and supportive through all this, that, hey, it's just not worth it. And they were also very kind to give me my $4,500 back for Q school. So they refunded me that back, which is huge. Obviously, that could still go a long way for the year coming up. But yeah, I was like, it's just not worth the risk of 30 grand. I don't, even if I were to get a 1 month suspension instead of a 3 month suspension, I still can't play Q school because I can't play first stage. So kind of weighed all my options and figured this is probably the best route to go, and, kind of back at square one, but it is what it is.
In this process, do you know of Vince at all? Like, are you hearing that as other players? This guy is just solely working on your case? Is that your understanding, Jake?
So he mentioned it a couple times. He didn't mention Vince's name. So I didn't know who the other, he just said there was another guy, and I didn't find out till obviously today when the press release came out. That, I felt like Vince and I are kind of the 1 and 2, right? We're kind of, hey, these are the first guys that kind of get caught, and this is what's going to happen, right? This is what happens if you bet on golf under PGA Tour sanction, So he kept mentioning, hey, so actually Vince was the one who, again, I didn't know it was Vince, that the guy from the PGA Tour was like, hey, this guy realized this could get really expensive. This could get to 30, 40 grand, and it's just not worth it. I want to give you a heads up on that same light. So it sounded like he was like a little bit further along in the process than I was. And yeah, so I ended up not knowing who it was, but yeah. So
how did this come to be? How did the tour find out that you placed bets almost 3 years ago?
So from what I was told, they hired a third-party investigator to basically do background checks on everybody affiliated with the PGA Tour. And anybody betting on golf was going to get flagged. And so I think that's just what happened. Obviously I was part of PGA Tour Canada Forum Tour at the time, and they.
So, do you think is it your understanding, Jake, that they hired that firm to do a background? I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly.
Yep.
On all PGA Tour players.
Correct.
And PGA members, we're talking Canadian, Latin American, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They ran some sort of database through some, like, I assume the 5 major betting apps or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Your name was flagged as placing a bet because you're using your real name.
Yep.
And that's how it came to be.
Yep. That's what I was told. That's kind of my understanding of it. Don't know why. I don't know. I obviously stuff with Phil came out a couple months ago. Probably may have stirred the pot a little bit. Like, hey, maybe let's look into this. Yeah. So I think Vince and I are kind of the first ones flagged, and I guess going off that is I just want to, it is what it is. I've accepted my punishment. It is what it is. Fair or not, people can argue that. But one of my biggest things is I just want to make sure other guys understand exactly what happened, so that they don't make the same mistake, right? Because it could be career altering. I'm treating it like it's not, but you never know. I might never get a chance to get back through Q school or whatever it may be. So I don't want that to happen to other people, because it sucks. It's tough. It's a tough situation, and it's something that I have to live with. But I feel like not only myself, but other people can learn from what I did and kind of move forward and be better from it. So
I know you. I mean, Jake, you're taking responsibility for it. I appreciate it. And I don't want to put words in your mouth by any means, but is there some part of you, that has to be like $116 in a bet placed 2 years ago under my real name, 3 of which were an exhibition match. Like, you guys get fined behind privately closed doors. There's just, the fact of the matter is, not a ton of people are going to listen to the details of what has happened. This is going to have some effect on your, what people associate your name with. Do you feel like that part is a bit unfair?
I would say maybe a little bit. I mean, again, that's kind of why I actually reached out to you and I'm like, hey, I'd like to at least tell my side of the story. Be like, hey, I'm not a guy that goes out. I'm not a degenerate gambler. Like, I'm not betting thousands of dollars on, Brooks or Bryce or whatever it may be. And I'm not doing that with other sports either. I obviously the press release was a little vague. I could have done it a month ago. Who knows when it could have happened? So I just wanted to at least get it out there. But hey, this was 2 years ago. I was 24, 25 at the time. And it's just, I made a mistake, right? I felt like the press release made Vince and I kind of made it look like we were kind of these evil guys that were, betting all the time and doing all this stuff. It really isn't that deep, So that part was frustrating for sure.
And I know it's not your information to share, Jake, so I'm not going to ask you specifics. Do you know what Vince, is he in kind of the same boat? Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I'm sure I'll probably reach out just to, see how he's doing. Kind of, we're obviously going through the same thing. I haven't talked to him at all though, so I don't really know what his kind of thing entailed. But Yeah, it's it is what it is. It sucks for sure.
You get it. Have you talked to who's the highest person you've talked to at the PGA Tour? Did you talk to Jay?
No, the letter of suspension did come from him. I mean, it was who knows? I don't know if he actually wrote it or what. I know for a fact though that the guy I was talking to from the PGA Tour, he was in direct contact with Jay, and at the end of the day, Jay did make that decision to make it 3 months during Q school. I know that this gentleman from the PGA Tour, he's like, listen, Jay's kind of reasoning behind it was if I get to final stage, right, and I take top 40, well, I'm going to be suspended for the first 3 months of the year. I won't be playing until March. I'm taking a spot from somebody else. Same as if I were to take top 5, get that PGA Tour card, I wouldn't be playing until March. Still could have taken a spot from somebody else. So from Jay's eyes, it looked like he seemed like, it's just not fair for the guys behind you that could have a chance, which I can actually understand. I actually get that side of it because, you know, like you harp on it every day almost. It seems like every shot matters. One shot can make or break it. If I'm the last guy in, if I move that line or whatever, top 5, top 40 at final stage, and it bumps somebody out and it changes their whole path, their whole career path. So I'm okay with that, right? Again, I guess my
You're
most
a better
frustrating
man
thing.
than me, Jake.
No, because I get it. I understand it's hard, man. This I mean, I've been a conditional Corn Ferry player for 2 years. And every shot truly counts. I've missed a couple cuts by 1 or 2 shots, and it's like, if I make this cut, I have the rest of the year. Who knows what happens? So from that perspective, I get it. I guess from my biggest thing and kind of coming on here with you, and I just wanted to clear my name a bit and just say, listen, I'm not this kind of evil guy that everybody might take me as for betting on sports, because it's not a reoccurring thing. It was 4 times, and that was it. So
Jake, is there any part of you that, like, it's a pretty well-known fact that practice rounds on the Corn Ferry Tour, on PGA Tour Canada, and the PGA Tour, there's some sort of money game often. Now, it's not like Corn Ferry Tour guys don't have a lot of money. It might be $5 closest to the pin or whatever it is, but it's a pretty well-known fact that gambling happens at a Corn Ferry event almost always leading up to Thursday. I've never heard of anything like outside of joking around on a Thursday like close to, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's plenty of groups that play money games. It's well known. It's a wink and a nod. Everyone knows. The officials know. The tour knows. Everybody knows. Does any of that feel frustrating, Jake? I mean, or again, I appreciate your openness and accepting responsibility. Gambling is a part of the sport now. It's always been a part of practice rounds forever. Is there any part of you that kind of feels frustrated about that, or are those two issues in your mind separate?
I would actually say they're separate. I mean, again, because who from in a practice round standpoint, it's just you and your guys. Like you said, close to the pin, NASA, whatever you guys are doing. When it comes to sports betting, there's some sort of factor that could be controlled, right? Hey, and to an super extreme extent, right? Hey, you missed this putt. Did I go away? Cool.
Oh, you're good.
Hey, you go ahead. Hey, if I'll pay you 50 grand to miss this putt because I'm going to make 2 million on it, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, super extreme extent. So I think it doesn't change the outcome of most of the time, the hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? It's $20 Nassau here and there. So I would definitely categorize those as different. And obviously, yeah, they happen. But I think again, that's part of the game. Gambling on the course is part of the game. Definitely a fine line, gray area. Probably not so gray area. Obviously now, when it comes to a sports book, so I would definitely split them up.
Here, let me sum this up in a few things. One, Jake bet $116.20 on 4 bets, 3 of which were on the Brooks Bryson the match, 12-hole match on, I think it was on Thanksgiving or something. I don't remember.
Yep.
Suspended for 3 months, and you can't go to Q school. What is your plan for next year, Jake?
So it feels kind of like I'm returning pro in a way. I've gained a lot of knowledge the last 2 years being out there. I'm gonna start. I'll head to Florida, play a bunch of the Mondays down there. Maybe Farmers Insurance pre-qual, unfortunately. Kind of go from there. But starting January, call it through March, I'll be in Florida, play all those kind of Mondays, and I'll probably just travel and follow the Corn Ferry Mondays. I'm from Colorado, so I'll eventually make my way back west. And if the Mondays don't work out in the beginning of the year, I've got a bunch of state opens. Obviously, Colorado Open. That's where I first met you. I play pretty well out there, trying to make a paycheck, and I know what it takes now to prepare for Q school, right? A lot of the biggest things about Q school is peaking at the right time. Peaking for usually it's September, October, November this year. No, October, November, December. Peaking at the right time and playing your best golf. So there's a lot of good tournaments out here, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, everywhere where you can kind of sharpen your game, try to make some paychecks. And, my biggest goal is to be ready for October next year. It sucks. It's a year away. And again, you never know what could happen on a Monday. You saw this year with, Ryan Girard, Akshay, all those guys, right? They played one Monday, got in or got it, whatever, played well, life's changed. So definitely trying to keep a positive perspective is key with all of this because, again, I can't control anything. This is what happened and kind of just have to tip my cap and be ready for basically when January comes around. So,
well, a few things. One, thanks for coming on, Jake. I appreciate you taking. I think the fact that you've taken responsibility and been mature about this. I'm not sure there's many people in your seat that would do that, but I appreciate that. And second of all, to the people listening, Jake and I have talked a lot. Jake has privately offered help for schools that I've helped and all of those things. He's one of the nicest dudes out there. And it's frustrating for me as a journalist that a vague statement is put out about someone who has their reputation opposite of what is being said today. So Jake can't say that. I appreciate that he's taking the high road in this. Jake's a very good dude. He made a $116 bet, made a mistake, and he's accepting responsibility. So, Jake, thank you for all you've done for me. Jake's always willing to I ask him questions about stuff all the time, and he's been very open and honest, and I appreciate him coming on. And let's hope you Monday and win.
Hey,
and that will be
– yeah, that'll be for the brand. That's all it is now.
Exactly. Cool. Well, thanks, Jake. Thanks for the time, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.